Imagine waking up one day and realizing that something has changed. Those simple movements that once went unnoticed now become a challenge. Getting out of bed, walking to the kitchen, climbing a small step, everything seems to require an effort that wasn't there before. This silent weakness slowly steals the autonomy of millions of people around the world. But what many do not know is that this loss of strength can be reversed, and the story of Mrs. Lucia, 98 years old, proves just that. Mrs. Lucia had always been an active woman. She loved tending to her garden, preparing her traditional recipes, and visiting neighbors for long conversations on the porch. But over time, she realized that her body no longer responded in the same way. The weight of everyday objects seemed to double. Her legs no longer supported her as before, and suddenly every step became a challenge. The fragility crept in stealthily, bringing with it the fear of falling and the insecurity of depending on others. The diagnosis was clear: sarcopenia. This little-known name describes a common problem: the loss of muscle mass and strength with aging. For many, this condition means the end of independence, but Mrs. Lucia did not accept that fate. She discovered that with the right strategies, it was possible to reverse this situation and regain vitality, and that's exactly what happened. Today, you will learn about Mrs. Lucia's incredible transformation and the habits that allowed her to regain her strength and live with energy again. What once seemed impossible became real, and what worked for her can transform your life too. But first, if you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any video that could change your health and quality of life. The first change that brought results for Mrs. Lucia was something unexpected yet incredibly effective: muscle activation through simple stimuli. A therapist suggested a method that seemed basic but awakened her dormant muscles. Before starting any exercise, she was advised to massage her skin with a natural bristle brush. It may seem like an unimportant detail, but this technique has a profound impact. Dry brushing activates blood circulation, improves muscle oxygenation, and helps eliminate toxins that can compromise mobility. At first, Mrs. Lucia found the sensation strange, but she quickly noticed the benefits. Her legs began to respond better, muscle stiffness decreased, and the simple act of getting out of bed no longer required as much effort. The secret lay in the way it was applied. Every morning before her shower, she used the brush in gentle strokes, always moving toward her heart. The practice took only 5 minutes, but the impact was powerful. Studies show that this technique can increase blood circulation by up to 25%, accelerating muscle regeneration and helping restore the body's strength. But externally stimulating the muscles was only the beginning. Mrs. Lucia knew she needed to strengthen her body from the inside out, and that's when she discovered a true elixir of recovery: an ancient broth, rich in essential nutrients for muscle regeneration. It was her granddaughter, a nutrition student, who introduced the recipe. Bone broth, used for generations, is a natural source of collagen, minerals, and amino acids that help rebuild tissues. Without a second thought, Mrs. Lucia incorporated this drink into her daily routine. Preparing it was simple. She would cook beef or chicken bones for several hours, adding ingredients such as ginger, garlic, and aromatic herbs. The result was a nutrient-rich liquid that her body needed. In just a few days, she noticed that fatigue diminished, her joints hurt less, and her energy returned. Science confirms the benefits of this practice. Research indicates that the collagen in bone broth aids in muscle regeneration and joint health, while the minerals present in the recipe are essential for muscle contraction and the maintenance of bone density. However, even with improved nutrition, Mrs. Lucia noticed that her muscles were still not fully recovering. It was then that she discovered that something as natural as breathing could make all the difference. Her doctor explained that as the years go by, many people begin to breathe shallowly, reducing the amount of oxygen that reaches the muscles. Without enough oxygen, muscle regeneration is impaired, and the body takes longer to recover. Determined to improve her breathing, Mrs. Lucia adopted a simple yet extremely effective technique, the 4, 7 to 8 deep breathing method. Every day, she would sit comfortably, inhale deeply through her nose for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 7 seconds, and exhale slowly through her mouth for 8 seconds. This simple exercise changed her disposition. She woke up more refreshed, felt less fatigue throughout the day, and noticed that her muscles were responding better to effort. Moreover, deep breathing helped reduce stress and improved the quality of her sleep, another essential factor for muscle regeneration. Studies show that deep breathing not only improves tissue oxygenation, but also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and aiding in muscle recovery. For Mrs. Lucia, this practice became an essential habit. Now that her muscles were being properly stimulated, nourished, and oxygenated, the next step was crucial: reactivating strength through movement. But instead of intense exercises, Mrs. Lucia found a simple and safe solution to strengthen her body, using a cane as a rehabilitation tool. It was during a consultation with her physiotherapist that she discovered a simple cane could be a powerful instrument to regain her strength. The secret lay in targeted exercises that activated the muscles without overloading the body. She began with basic movements, such as lifting the cane in front of her to strengthen her shoulders, rotating it laterally to improve spinal mobility, and using it for support during small squats. In the beginning, the movements were slow and required concentration, but over time, her strength returned. What once seemed impossible, getting up from a chair on her own, walking more steadily, carrying shopping bags, became a reality again. Her body was responding to the stimulus, and her confidence grew each day. Research points out that exercises with support, such as using a cane, are extremely effective for activating stabilizing muscles, improving balance, and strengthening the musculature without the risk of falls. For Mrs. Lucia, this method was a game changer. But she knew that to maintain her progress, she needed to provide her body with the right nutrients. That's when a fundamental adjustment in her diet came into play: the consumption of antioxidant foods. Under her granddaughter's guidance, she added foods rich in protein and anti-inflammatory compounds to her menu. Quinoa, chickpeas, spinach, berries, and seeds became part of her eating routine, providing the building blocks necessary to maintain her strength. The results were impressive. Her energy increased, her muscles became more resilient, and even her skin and cognition showed improvements. Studies indicate that a diet rich in antioxidants and high-quality proteins is essential to combat sarcopenia and maintain muscle mass as the years go by. Now, her transformation was almost complete. But one last step was missing. Something so simple, yet incredibly powerful for reactivating the muscles. The final habit that solidified Mrs. Lucia's recovery was something that seemed insignificant but had a surprising impact: walking barefoot on different surfaces. It was her granddaughter, who was studying physiotherapy, who suggested this practice. She explained that walking barefoot on natural textures, such as grass, sand, or even smooth stones, helped strengthen the stabilizing muscles of the feet and legs, improved balance, and stimulated nerve endings essential for mobility. At first, Mrs. Lucia was hesitant. A lifetime of wearing shoes had caused her feet to lose their natural sensitivity to the ground. But determined to regain her strength, she took the first step. Every day at dawn, she would walk a few minutes around her home's garden, feeling the damp grass under her feet. The sensation was different, almost invigorating. Over time, she began to explore other surfaces, such as sand and fine gravel. Each texture challenged her muscles in a unique way, stimulating parts of her body that had long been inactive. Initially, she felt a slight discomfort, as her feet were not used to the lack of support from shoes. But after a few days of practice, she noticed that her ankles were stronger and her stability had improved. Her granddaughter explained that this happened because walking barefoot activates deep muscles that are inactive when conventional footwear is used. The transformation was remarkable. Her balance improved significantly, her posture became firmer, and the lightness she felt when walking was something she hadn't experienced in years. She felt as if she had reconnected with her own body. Research indicates that walking barefoot activates muscles that are normally not used when wearing shoes, strengthens the ankles, reduces the risk of falls, and improves blood circulation. Additionally, there are emotional benefits. Feeling the ground under your feet provides a greater connection with nature, reduces stress, and enhances overall well-being. As her strength returned, Mrs. Lucia decided to challenge herself even more. She began to try short walks on uneven surfaces, such as beach sand and small pebbles. This demanded more from the muscles in her feet and legs, increasing her endurance. She also noticed that this practice had a calming effect. Walking barefoot in the morning became a moment of tranquility and connection with nature. Feeling the earth, the grass, or the sand under her feet brought a sense of freedom that she hadn't felt in a long time. Over the weeks, Mrs. Lucia noticed something even more impressive. Not only were her muscles stronger, but her energy had increased as well. Previously, she felt tired after small efforts, but now she was able to carry out her daily tasks without difficulty. The simple act of rising from a chair, which once required great effort, was now done with ease and confidence. In addition, her digestion improved, her sleep became deeper and more restorative, and even her memory seemed sharper. She hadn't expected that strengthening her muscles would bring so many additional benefits, but she realized that when the body is strengthened, the whole organism functions better. It was then that she made a decision. She would never return to us. Even at 98 years old, she wanted to remain active, strong, and independent for as long as possible. Now, Mrs. Lucia was no longer the woman who feared losing her independence. At 98, she had regained the strength she thought was lost and returned to living with autonomy and joy. What once seemed impossible became her new reality, getting out of bed effortlessly, walking without fear of falling, and even resuming activities she had. But the most important change wasn't just physical. It was the confidence she had reclaimed. Her daughter and grandchildren were amazed by her transformation. They had once feared she would need help with basic tasks. Now they saw a woman full of vitality, determined to continue her journey with strength and joy. Every habit adopted, from the morning dry brushing to walking barefoot, was an essential step in her recovery. Small daily changes completely transformed her life. Lucia's story is proof that it is never too late to regain strength and independence, and this applies to anyone. Many times we believe that aging means accepting fragility, but it doesn't have to be that way. The human body has an incredible capacity for regeneration and strengthening, regardless of age. The secret is consistency. Muscle recovery and improved mobility don't happen overnight, but with simple and effective habits, it is possible to regain vitality. Several studies show that with the correct stimuli, elderly people can recover up to 50% of lost muscle strength. No matter your age, the body can always be strengthened. If you feel that your muscles are weakening or know someone facing this problem, know that change is possible. The first step is to understand that small actions make all the difference. Mrs. Lucia began with a simple dry brush massage to activate her circulation. Then, she strengthened her body she improved her breathing to enhance muscle oxygenation. She incorporated safe movements with a cane to regain her strength. She adjusted her diet to provide the right nutrients. And finally, she reconnected with her own balance by walking barefoot. And the result? A renewed life. If Mrs. Lucia managed to recover her strength and vitality at 98 years old, it all begins with one decision: choosing to take care of yourself and giving your body the right stimuli to remain strong and healthy. So now I ask you, are you ready to transform your life? If this story inspired you, write in the comments, "My strength is in my hands," and rate this video 10 out of 10. Remember, age is just a number. With the right habits, you can regain your strength, energy, and independence. It is never too late to start.